we've been looking at a Texas team that has been kind of incredible for us. I mean, just like the different place that this team is now compared to like the last, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Is kind of incredible. And with that, you were asking this question. I think it's a really good one. What is the most unbelievable thing about where we stand with these Texans right now? You can always get involved with the program by texting in to the text line at 713-572-4610.
Look, man, it truly is. It truly is unbelievable what this team. When you think about a year ago, even, but more specifically, like 2 years ago, a year and a half, what you thought of this team, and more importantly, what this team felt like, in terms of from a Nationals perspective. I mean, this team didn't get any respect.
No,
like zero respect. And I'm looking up at some of the things that people, and we're saying it, and other people around the country are saying it. And it's like, oh, the Texans. And we're going to hear some of this stuff over the course of the show. People talking about how the Texans, and I was watching one thing, and not only can C.J. Stroud win a Super Bowl, I think it was, I forget who it was, but they can win a Super Bowl this year. And there's variations of that everywhere. So I'm like, what is the most unbelievable thing? Not just the fact that they are looked at completely 180 differently. Like they are looked at like a veteran team that has been there and already done that. And that's weird. They haven't been there, and they haven't done that.
Sure.
But they're being treated like that. And so I think that's where I'm going to land. But there's a bunch of answers, that you could give. And maybe you have a different one, 713-572-4610. But to me, they are a polished, mature team. And those are two words that I've never used with the Houston Texans. There's been hope. There's been good years. There's been anticipation and all that. But they are a polished, mature team. It's like we're talking about, maybe not the Chiefs, they're in their own category, but like the Ravens. Like they've been around forever. Their personnel staff is top notch. You respect all the decisions they make.
Right.
Their coaches regarded as like, oh, well, they're going to be well coached.
Yes.
Like their quarterback is, all he needs to do is take the next step. Like, it's like, when did the Texans become the Ravens? And the answer is this year.
Right.
and it's unbelievable.
Yeah, it is incredible. Like, I'm glad that you took it to the place where it's organizationally.
Yeah.
Right? It's not even just the team. And we could talk about the players on the field, that level of this. But there's a level of respect in what's happening, starting with, I guess, the most forward-facing of the people on the staff, which is DeMeco Ryans. I don't know that, anywhere around like the national football landscape that anybody has negative things to say about him. And it's not just that, like there is a widespread trust in his decision making and the way that he goes about things. Like people treat him not like a second-year head coach, right? They treat him like a dude who has done this for a while, whose decisions are to be respected.
Yeah.
In a similar way, like you're talking about, if we're going to use the Ravens.
To me, that's like the example.
Right,
like, when did they become the Ravens?
Right. John Harbaugh is a dude who, when he makes decisions, and sometimes he'll make spicy decisions.
Yes.
Right? Sometimes he'll go with the analytics in a way that's kind of odd, and sometimes he'll deviate, and it's not always consistent or what have you. But by and large, the smartest people in sports look around and they go, no, that's a good coach and he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
DeMeco Ryans is given that level of grace pretty widely already.
Yeah, like even in their own division, when John Harbaugh makes a decision, people in the division are like, uh-oh, I don't know if that's going to be good, but I bet you it is. Because you have that respect.
Right.
They draft somebody where you're like a Kamari Lasser, something of a surprise, right?
Yeah.
And people had the Ravens done that, people in their division would be going, uh-oh. What do they know that we don't? Right. Well, we're finding out that, DeMeco Ryans and Nick Caserio do know something that others don't, because Kamari Lasser is probably going to be a starting cornerback. So it's like, it's unbelievable how far this team has come. And, the most unbelievable thing to me is I don't feel like we're setting ourselves up for disappointment.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. There's definitely places around this league where something is done that, ostensibly is a good move, and people go, yeah, but wait till it fails. Yeah. And there's places where if you wanted to have that particular negativity about things, you possibly could, right? Like free agency is something that gets the people going in football because it is the sexy portion of roster building. But like there's arguments to be made that free agency is not the most effective way to build a team.
Absolutely.
And the Texans have made some big free agent moves this offseason. And so there's reasons to maybe go, let's see if you made the right decision in acquiring this player. Let's see if they still have in them what you were looking for, and whether that money that you ultimately signed them for, even if they do have those things, is proportionate to what they deliver you in value.
Yeah.
I think with Nick Caserio, everybody's like, yeah, I think this is the right move. Like,
that'll work.
All these moves, like, I think that you did what you were supposed to do, and just the idea that not only did you make those moves, and I don't think there's a lot of doubt, I think that also just the idea that you were able to convince players to come to this place without too much, cajoling.
Well, C.J. Stroud helped with that.
Sure. Absolutely. Like having a quarterback that is very good and on the upswing.
But that's another comparison.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you know? And the other thing is, and I know this is going to sound a little bit hokey, but I think it's very real, like the character of the players while they are still dogs.
Yes.
I was listening to Kamari Lasser, and I'm like, I was listening to D'Amico talk about Kamari Lasser and Lasseter himself, and I'm like, how is this dude 21? Or I don't even know if he's 21. Hell, he might be 20. But you know, he's a kid. And he sounds like... And
you're right, he is 21 years old.
Yeah, like he sounds like a guy, like he said, part of it was he goes, well, rookie is just a tag or a name or something like that.
Let's hear from his mouth. Figgy, you got cut 8 ready for me, as this is Kamari Lasser and his media availability. What was this, 2 days ago? Because they didn't have media availability yesterday. This was him talking about, you know, being a rookie.
I feel like rookie is just a word, honestly. I mean, I was brought here to, you know, come and do a job. So I feel like if I'm not doing my job to my standard or the standard that, you know, that the organization has, then it doesn't really matter. So I mean, it's a balance. I know I'm going to make mistakes. I'm not, you know, going out there trying to walk on eggshells, knowing I'm going to play fast, I'm going to play physical, I'm going to play my brand of football. But at the same time, I want it to be right. I want it to be decent and in order, and I want it to, you know, match the standard of our organization. You know, I understand that, you know, it's my first year. It's going to be a lot of things that I don't know or that I will see and that I will have to, you know, come across and make better. But in terms of me kind of making that balance, it's just going out there playing fast, playing confident, and then just learning from my mistakes.
Do you have any idea how far from that I was when I was 21?
Oh, buddy. I bet if we open that up to the text lines, if we open that to the text line, 713-572-4610, and let me know how far you were away from that level of, I guess, introspection and perspective at the age of 21.
Well, that's the audio that made me think polish and maturity.
Sure.
Like, that is a polished dude. That is a professional. And that is a very mature dude. And I was so far away from that at 21, it's not even funny. But I think that's part of like why they've advanced so quickly to this level.
And I mean, I think this ties in with a couple of things that we were just talking about, right? Like, D'Amico Ryans in his last media availability was talking about the idea of Kamari Lasser and how the impact that playing for Georgia had on it, right? Georgia has a defense that is complex, right? They're not out there with very simple keys and telling you, hey, this if you see this, then this is how you play. Like, there's some reads, there's some keys, there's a lot of moving parts within the Georgia defense. And Kamari Lasser was able to exist in that and flourish in it. And that's one of the things that allowed D'Amico Ryans to talk glowingly about Kamari Lasser, and one of the things that it seems like gives him confidence that Kamari Lasser can step into a starting role on the outside and be able to have some level of success in the NFL. And being able to identify, then I know that you might look and go, hey, blue chip prospect from a big blue blood program. Hey, that's not too difficult to identify. But the idea that's the way that the Texans went with Caserio and the decision makers, and then also D'Amico Ryans, like, that also adds into that polish, that maturity that you're able to see.
Yeah, and I talk about how fast they've come here. Like a year and a half, 2 years, 2 seasons ago, let's say, if the Texans were starting 2 rookies in the secondary, we'd be like, well, they're done. And now we're like, cool. They're ready. They must be ready. So it turns into stability. It turns into confidence. It turns into just, the I hate to say it again, but the culture of this team is just amazing that we've gotten here so quick. I am surprising myself with, all the confidence I have in this team, but I think it's well warranted.
Yeah, and in addition to it, right, I think what makes it really unbelievable for me, because we've seen teams go from worst to first, or we've seen teams improve their status in the world, right? That's the nature of this thing. The great teams are not great forever, the bad teams are not bad forever. These things shift and change. but like the speed, the quickness that this happened, right? And we'll talk more about this in varying degrees during the course of the program all the way till 2 p.m. But, I mean, you got a rookie quarterback in, and he immediately flourished in a way where people are willing to put him in the top 10 of their quarterback rankings pretty early, right? A lot of folks, and maybe not everyone, but you have that, right? The ways in which we talked about the free agents that you were able to get in very quickly. And, I mean, remember last year, and I know that from a local perspective, there was probably a little bit of optimism, but from a national perspective, there were people that were still dogging this Texans team.
Oh, yeah.
Especially, like, the idea that, hell, man, you traded up for Will Anderson Jr., you gave away your first-round pick when you're expected to be at the top of that draft again, and you looked up, and they were not.
They were not.
Of that draft again, and that speaks to just how quickly this happened, and it seems to be like one of the things that's amazing for me is just like the unity, right? The synergy that's when it comes to perspective and the way that they want to do things. They seem to have their ducks in a row in that way. Whether it comes to like the way that the physicality is going to be on defense, everybody knows what the time is, and everybody is operating on that time, right? When you talk about the maturity levels in that way as well, like there's various different degrees where you talk about the dog in them, but also still being, within line, still being the right kind of guy, so to say. And so, I've been thoroughly impressed looking at the way that this Texans team is. Now, we are in the time period of the schedule.
Oh, everybody's optimistic.
This is the optimistic time, but like, at least they are clearing all the bars that you imagine for this time period in that way.
No, it absolutely is. But when you talk about the maturity of this team, and you heard from Lassiter, it's not just him. It's like if you were listening during training camp, just consistently blown away by the way these players, perform on the field like dogs. I mean, I mentioned yesterday the Alshire quote. Hey, if you're soft, you might go play somewhere, but you ain't going to play here.
Yeah.
And yet off the field, they all seem to buy in. And it starts with D'Amico, obviously. And that's why I made that comparison to the Ravens. It's like D'Amico, from a player perspective, forget what we think, forget what people nationally think. Players are like, I want to play for that dude because he's the real deal.
Would you say that D'Amico then deserves the most credit for this? Now, understanding that it's probably a pie where you have to slice it up and get, hand some to everybody, but when it comes to like the primary person that you give the credit for this particular place that the Texans are in, it's
yes,
D'Amico
because they got here so fast. Like obviously Nick Caserio, and I said last week, that I think he's already the best general manager this organization's ever had, just because of everything that he was able to do and adjust to with a new coach and all that. So he gets a piece of that pie, as you talk about. But the big portion of it has to begin and end with D'Amico. And it's been stunning, to be honest, that we're here, Absolutely. And look, this has been an incredible thing to watch. Like, and of course, I can speak mostly from afar, but it's one of the reasons, and we'll talk about if we're drinking too much of the Kool-Aid later in the program, but it's one of the reasons why I feel so positively is that on a national scale, you can see Diana Rossini. You could see like all the rankings that are putting this team as like maybe Super Bowl contenders, or at least borderline Super Bowl contenders in that way. And that positivity is because of all of the things that we're talking about, like the indicators of things that will make a team good all point in the upwards, at least from a 30,000-foot view. Yeah.
Now, of course, that's where it's our responsibility to get down into the nitty-gritty.
Yeah.
Hey, what's happening here when we talk about, depth, when we talk about the areas of, of potential weakness. But we do have to make sure that we're very cognizant, especially because of the dry parts that you've gone through.
Yeah.
Of how this team is not the team of 5 years ago. It's not the team of the David Culley era. It's not the team of that time. It's definitely a new era.
I mean, and from the 281 on the text board, 713-572-4610, 2 years ago we were talking about a total rebuild, and now we're talking about a Super Bowl. That doesn't happen.
No.
It never happens that fast. I mean, that's what I was saying. Like, this is the stunning part. Like, when I was thinking total rebuild, I was thinking 6 years.
Sure.
At best. Well, we're here, and that's D'Amico. And that starts with D'Amico.